Hello, welcome to the Parenting Versus Podcast. We are sitting on the rooftop of Dual. I think I should sit closer to you.
Do you want to?
Just so that...
It's so quiet up here. It's so peaceful.
Yeah,
I love it, actually.
There's a chair.
Well, you can move that chair.
So we are sitting on the rooftop
Yeah.
of Dual Brewing in downtown Albuquerque.
Yeah, they have killed it with their patio rooftop game. It is amazing up here. Well done.
It is pretty nice. They have a bunch of these pink chairs lined up on the edge and a little tiny like gray plank that they painted.
Like a floating ledge counter.
Yeah. Whoever owns the Dual Brewing Company is very aware of they have a very artistic sense, and there's a lot of steel.
They've got good aesthetic.
Awesome art hanging.
Yeah.
I think last time they told us like one of the owners is an artist.
I think that's what they said, yeah, so I totally get it. You know what's funny to me about this spot, though, is like, so this was a bar way before I was 21. This was Banana Joe's, and I never actually came here because I wasn't old enough at the time. But I remember being in high school and coming past this spot and being like, wow, that's a pretty cool spot. Like, that looks awesome. And they've done a really nice job of making it a really comfortable, really fun spot. So cheers to Dual.
Cheers to Dual. Thank you for grabbing my beer and cheersing for me.
Oh, I didn't cheers for you. But I'm having a chocolate milk stout from Boxing Bear, which is another local brewery here in town.
And I'm having an IPA, which, if this week goes right, is going to be my last beer of the week. Because, oh man, I just have no willpower. I justify and I make excuses for myself to try to, eat right, eat healthy. But man, again, it's my mantra. I love bread. I love bread.
We just ate some bread actually off of the Isleta Indian reservation that Lorenzo's dad brought back to his parents, and it was fresh and it was warm and it was so good.
Yeah, super good.
Got that out of our system now.
Yeah. But yeah, this place is pretty dang awesome. They have these old movie theater chairs that are downstairs. There's like 3 levels you can sit.
I guess feasibly you could.
You could probably sleep, but 3 levels you can sit on. There's the bottom level, lots of space. There's a second level inside, and this is where like these antique movie theater chairs are. And then now there's the rooftop, which is really cool. But as I was walking in, like, I think we're the only people here.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is Sunday, so they maybe just opened.
Yeah, maybe they're super busy on Friday and Saturday nights, and because we're the lame ones not going out, everybody else is.
Yeah. And Fall Crawl was last night. Fall Crawl.
Really?
Yeah. So people were doing their beer thing pretty much all last night.
Yeah.
So they may be home sleeping and recovering and drinking some Gatorade.
That's true. Yeah. I'm hopeful for these local businesses in Albuquerque that, they got their stuff together. I just hope they get business. So yeah. You can hear the traffic. We are just overlooking Central. So what were we taking pictures of? Oh,
I was, my friend Lauren had just said hi, and then she said, thanks for talking with me this morning. We had a good talk, so.
Yeah.
She said, I hope you get the refreshing that you need, because
I've
been feeling a little bit suffocated with just like life in general lately. I just need some peace of mind and some peace of spirit and some calm. And so this is actually a very nice, calm place. I'm on the top of a roof, just relaxing in the shade.
Yeah.
And this is just
recording a podcast today relaxing to you, or is it kind of like work?
It depends on the day, honestly. Like now, it's fine. There are times though where I'm like, nope, not today.
Yeah. I hope our conversations recorded are as natural as we would have them in person. You know what I mean? That you can just kind of take a breath and say, like I'm having a conversation with somebody that I know really well. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I think you have to designate the time.
Right.
To have good conversation. And that's what's hard is, being a parent. You can be intentional about a lot of things, but when you actually do things, you have to be super intentional about it. And I think that's where I fall short. Like there's a giant pile of laundry in our bedroom right now. I could have gotten that put away last night, but I know that mentally I was not there. And I was like, nope, not going to happen. I think you have to be intentional about your conversation too. And like, we know that we had this one-on-one time together.
Yeah.
So this is a good thing. We're using it. We're utilizing it.
Yeah. And hey, don't our friends at that other podcast, aren't they from Florida?
Uh-huh.
Man, if you guys are listening, I hope you guys are safe. As we speak, right now, Florida is being pummeled by Hurricane Irma. And we were just watching the coverage, and it just looks crazy. They're talking about these storm surges that are in the Tampa area.
It's the Church Over Coffee podcast.
Church Over Coffee podcast.
Yeah, so Chris and Taylor, we hope you guys are doing okay. You're in our thoughts.
There you go.
Because we know that it's probably pretty ugly where you guys are. And
right. See,
maybe they're hunkered down podcasting.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Maybe me, as a New Mexican who experiences maybe 10 inches of rain in an entire year, doesn't really understand like a Floridian would a hurricane. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of people who are staying, and I'm like, why would you stay?
That sounds terrifying.
Leave.
To me.
That's what I would do. I don't care if I'm stuck in traffic or if I have to fight somebody for gas.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't do that, but...
Yeah, I feel like you're not just dealing with the elements at that point. You're dealing with like the worst that humanity has to offer.
Well, I was listening to a podcast yesterday, the Pastor with No Answers, Joey Svensson. Yeah, we're doing great. Thank you.
Joey Svensson.
Joey Svensson. And are we still recording?
Yeah.
Yeah, we are.
This is the best part.
So he's from South Carolina, I think. And they were expected to be in the track of the hurricane.
Okay.
And he was talking about how he went to go get sand or something to sandbag. And people they get in this like primal
It's like survival mode.
Stage where everything goes out the window, your morals go out the window, and you're just like, I'm going to survive. I don't care who's here. There's not going to be any order to anything. I'm just going to get this.
Well, haven't we all watched The Walking Dead? I mean, let's
right,
be
and
honest.
that's what he started talking about
really?
too. Yeah,
that's exactly where my mind went.
Is like just like survival, and there's no like courtesy. There's no like
martial law.
Right.
People in those situations get pressed to this limit, I think, where their humanity, like you said, goes out the window, and they just it's like whatever I have to do for me and mine to survive. You know, and I think people, you really find out what their morals are made of, and they kind of disintegrate in those situations a little bit.
Yeah, that's for sure. But yeah, I think that us here, we have zero natural disasters in Albuquerque.
Yeah, we're
zero.
Really troubled here.
No earthquakes, no
mini
volcanoes.
tornadoes, one time.
Yeah, there was a tornado in Albuquerque, I think 20 years ago or something, but it wasn't really anything. I think it blew the roof off of a gym somewhere, but you know.
Everyone in the Midwest is laughing at us right now.
Yeah, for sure.
They're like, that's nothing.
So maybe me thinking of somebody staying in Florida is ridiculous, because I do. But somebody from Florida is like, oh, we've done this a lot of times before. It's all good. We'll get through it.
That's, yeah. I mean, even growing up in Oregon, we had rain, but not like that. I mean, we've never had hurricane rains or winds. That's a whole different element in itself. I can't imagine.
Right.
We used to do earthquake drills in elementary school, and I've only dealt with one really big earthquake the entire time I lived there, and even that wasn't as big as it could have been. So.
Right.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of natural stuff happening right now. With Hurricane Harvey, Irma, and I guess Jose is on its way.
Oh, yeah.
And then
they go through the alphabet, right? So if there's another one, it'll be a K letter?
And there's already a K.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I did not even know that.
And there's even L.
Is it Lindsay?
I hope so.
Me too. I've never had a hurricane named after me, but I feel like it'd be appropriate.
I think there's an L. I might be wrong on that, but anyway, there's all these hurricanes happening, wildfires, a major earthquake in Mexico. There was flooding in India.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the rapture's happening.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. That kind of stuff just dizzies my mind a lot.
Yeah. Well, is there
I don't
something
know.
nice you want to talk about then? Because it dizzies mine too.
I mean, it's not. It's the world. It's the state of the world right now, and I get that. It's not like I want to glaze over it or pretend like it's not happening, because it is, and it's important to pay attention, because there's people suffering, and they're suffering senselessly. I mean, there's no reason, but then you look at human suffering every day, places like Albuquerque, where we live, we're not dealing with natural disasters, but there's still human suffering. And I guess the thought is, like, suffering is so big, and it can happen in so many different ways. Like, I feel like we as a Christian people, like if you're a Christian or you're a faith-believing person or you're simply somebody who wants to do good in the world, like, you need to find a way to remedy the suffering in your own backyard.
Right.
And that's what I struggle with. Like,
Yeah.
I know I can't fix Florida, but I know that there's drug addicts in the park down the street that are dealing with some suffering. Like, I get that.
It's
So
hard to
how do
have
I do that?
compassion sometimes too. Like with the hurricane, we're watching the live coverage, and as they're covering the hurricane, they show a video of some people like starting to loot a shoe store. They're coming out with boxes of shoes. And at first I'm like, oh my gosh.
Are you going to outrun a hurricane? Like, honestly. Like,
No, but
what's
at
the point?
first I'm like, wow, like that's just low. That's what I started thinking.
Yeah.
But I'm like, well, let's think again. Like, what kind of situation are you in where this is your high point? You know what I mean? People are fearing for their lives, and they're not fearing for their lives. They're going to grab stuff because
It's
they
an
don't- they don't-
opportunity
they
they
don't-
wouldn't otherwise have in
Right.
a normal situation.
they don't have money or jobs to go buy these things, obviously.
Or maybe they're just really shitty human beings.
Really? I mean, do you think so?
No, I definitely think that there was some kind of existing condition that was there before the hurricane, and I think the
Right.
hurricane is just the catalyst for whatever was there. You do realize I like to play devil's advocate sometimes, right?
I know. I'm just thinking.
I'm sorry.
I mean, no, I get it though. Like that's awful. Like that this is what these people are doing is looting. But man, I don't know. They're not safe. They might have kids at home. I don't know. It's a situation in life that I am not faced with. You know what I mean? Or I'm
Totally.
gonna get to the point where I'm gonna loot a shoe store in an incredibly dangerous hurricane.
Yeah. No, I understand. You're like, at what point, like, how low does life outside of a hurricane have to get that that's what you're doing when you're told to be safe and stay safe and preserve your life and your safety, and you're out,
Right.
you're willing to risk all of that for a pair of shoes
Right.
or two
Mm-hmm.
or seven. I mean, I don't know, but, like, point being, I get it.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I guess the thing is, like, human suffering is apparent. It's around us all the time. And I think the reason it's hard for me to wrap my mind around it so much is because I'm sure that people during World War II looked at the Holocaust and said, this is it. Like, this is the worst thing that could have possibly happened. This is terrible. They looked at the human condition and human suffering, and they thought about, like the rapture, and they thought about, the end of the world. And then you have other situations that happen all over the world where people are like, this is it. This is the end. And so it's like, for me, like, what does it take to get us as a civilization and as man and womankind to really wake up? Because this stuff has been happening for
It's never gonna get
forever
to that point. It's never gonna get to that
history.
point.
Right. But it's like we forget. Right after something tragic happens, we forget until the next tragic thing happens.
Yeah, like I don't know if I was talking about this in our last podcast, but we've already forgotten about Charlottesville, and that was huge. I thought it was huge.
I think a lot of people thought it was huge, but then it got overshadowed by this. And then what's the next thing? And I'm not saying that it's going to get better. It's not. But I think the thing is, we have to consider that suffering comes in all shapes and forms. And just because we have footage of it on TV and it's a physical suffering where you see rain and hurricanes and winds and things being destroyed, doesn't mean that that type of suffering ceases to exist other places at the same time. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, hunger is still a very strong force. You can't see it, but it's still human suffering, and it's still destroying people.
Yeah, and I'm trying to force myself not to eat as much. You know what I mean? That's really sad to me.
No, I understand. I feel
But
sorry.
it's the way it is. Like I don't know how to change that. It's just the way it is.
I think the first step is being conscious of it and being aware of it and choosing to look at it and not pretend like it doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what gets under my skin the most, and that's what makes me kind of cynical, to be honest, is like, you know, and I'm gonna get on my soapbox for a second. And this might anger some people, and I don't really care. You can get angry if you want. Send me an email.
parentingvspodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, do it. I dare you.
Or at parenting_pod on Twitter.
Yeah. I double dog dare you. No, I'm just kidding. Seriously, if you're upset, I'd love to have a dialogue with you. In a respectful way, not in an angry way. But no, seriously, I get a little upset because I see Christians, and this is just from my own perspective. I'm a Christian. I believe in God, and I go to church. And it's hard enough for me to go to church because I have a lot of qualms with quote-unquote organized religion. But that's a different conversation. I see a lot of Christians in big, giant mega churches and huge structures, very nicely funded buildings, living in this cushy little building with their cushy coffee shop and their cushy skate park and their nice little bookstore and their beautiful gardens. And my thought automatically goes to like what's your problem? That's really where my brain goes. Like, what's your problem? Yeah. Like, one, I think that it's incredibly horrible to sit there and flaunt that kind of wealth in a religious setting. I'm not saying you have to be poor or you have to be Mennonites. I'm simply saying you don't need to make it this extravagant thing, because if you're supposed to be there to like aid the suffering and take care of people that are hurting, it shouldn't be about you having all these like creature comforts around you.
What's a creature comfort?
A coffee shop, a bookstore, a cushy chair, a nice sound system, a laser show.
No, but that's what our pastor was talking about today. Mm-hmm. There's the spectrum, right?
Right.
And there's this tension. But on the very left side of that spectrum that he was displaying to us, Christians, they bubbleize or something, you know what I mean? They make their own coffee shop and put it on their church campus. That way you don't have to be in a place
that makes you uncomfortable.
Like
your comforts.
Maybe Starbucks says something or supports, gay marriage, or it says, it donates dollars to a place that you disagree with, so that makes you upset. Or maybe
we are downtown. So.
We're downtown.
Yeah.
There's an ambulance.
Yeah.
Or maybe you go to the coffee shop and you are around people who think differently from you and they dress differently from you, and that makes you uncomfortable.
Those darn kids with their tattoos and their piercings.
Right. Or they're playing music that you don't agree with or whatever. And like, so what's the deal? Oh, our mega church makes so much money that we can build a coffee shop on the campus.
You to feel safe.
On the campus, yeah.
And non-challenged.
On the campus of our mega church. And hey, come over here, because not only are we going to be playing the Newsboys and Christian music on our radio at work at the
I think I just threw up a little in my mouth. Sorry, guys.
At the I gotta say something real quick.
Go ahead.
There's a parody Twitter called the Bumblebee. I think it's called the Bumblebee, and one of the things was it's like a fake news story. It's kind of like the Onion, but we're for Christians.
Oh, jeez.
And it said,
I can already tell where this is going. Okay.
It said, deaf boy gets miraculously healed from his deafness, but it shows him crying because it said the first thing he heard was the Newsboys, or something. I'll have to find it for you to say exactly what it was. But they play their music, and they're selling their pastor's books there, and the barista has signed a statement of faith, and man, that's like not even real. It's so irritating to me just like even thinking about all this. But
you didn't know that Christians make better coffee than secular people?
Yeah, I guess so.
Than those heathen baristas?
But on the other end, which I have
You know what the excellent ingredient is in a heathen latte?
What is it?
Satan.
Mm.
I'm just kidding.
I don't want the Satan latte.
The Satan latte.
Mm-mm.
Wow.
Yeah.
And we're there.
But on the other end, you know what I mean? Nate, our pastor, was talking about how you can be just kind of whimsical, kind of go with the flow type of person that just says everything is okay, everything is right. Love, but don't have any accountability
Keep
towards
calm
anything.
And carry on and free love.
Basically.
And all that.
So
speaking of which, we watched The Spy Who Shagged Me last night.
Part of it,
Austin Powers. I never realized how stupid that movie is now that I'm an adult.
I know.
It's like not even funny.
When I was a teenager, I thought it was
like
the funniest thing ever.
And Seth Green, you're like, he's such a badass. And then now you're like, that was just like not funny.
Yeah, it wasn't really that funny.
The
was
90s
it?
being the 90s, kind of. Yeah.
It was not that great. Wayne's World, though, I think tests true.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Sure.
I'd have to watch that.
It stands the test of comedy time.
Yeah. So.
But that's what I'm saying. Like when you create these bubbles in which to keep people safe, you're really robbing them of being able to exercise their spirituality and to learn and to grow and to understand. And to also, like, I'm not even talking about, like, evangelizing, because I hate that word and I say it all the time. But you are really gypping people out of the opportunity to meet the rest of God's creation. Because God created people differently. And, you know, you may not think or act a certain way, but that guy over there does. And how are you going to understand where that guy's coming from if you never spend time with that guy? You know, on his turf where he exists and where he lives. If you're just going to sit in your Christian coffee shop with your book and your Christian latte that's spiced with Jesus, and I mean, okay, it's probably pretty good. You know what I mean? You're not going to ever get out of that bubble and really experience, like, all of what God has created and really understand. And I think you're even missing out on a little bit of who God is.
Yeah.
Because he didn't make us all the same. And he didn't make us to live in this Christian bubble commune.
Yeah, it's true.
You know? He made an entire world for you.
Right. Yeah, but people who are different and outside of your tribe are a little bit scary. Because it's like the unknown. You don't know them. And like I was telling you, every time I think of that, I think of that documentary with the guy who did Super Size Me.
Oh, yeah.
Where he puts two people who are complete opposites.
Like 30 days.
Yeah, makes them spend like 30 days with each other.
I love that concept.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. That was my turn.
So...
But that's the thing. We are so scared of what we don't know and we don't understand and what's foreign to us and our small circle of understanding that we are afraid to go out and spend time with people that are different than us.
Yeah.
And we are afraid to learn. And I kind of feel like that might be slapping God in the face a little bit. You know what I mean? Right. It's almost arrogant. Like, I see it as being really arrogant.
Yeah. I think people should... I mean, we don't. But how would things be if people took a couple of seconds to think about, I wonder what that person is going through in their life. Like put yourself in their shoes just for like a second before you start to pass judgment.
Right.
And it's easy to say because like I don't do that.
Right. So then I don't have to understand it because it doesn't apply to me.
Right. I mean, I don't do that at all. I don't put myself in other people's shoes for the most part. I think about myself. I mean, that's what we're wired to do, humans.
You know.
So.
No, I agree with you. It's interesting because this last week at work was kind of crazy and I wasn't ready to talk about it the last episode, but I guess I can a little bit now. So we get this call from this guy and we don't offer financial assistance at my work.
First of all, what do you do for work?
I work at a Christian nonprofit, which a lot of people would say, oh, well, given this podcast, you're a hypocrite. Maybe. But, you know, we deal with a lot of people that a lot of, I can be honest with you, formal Christians that go to giant mega churches choose not to deal with. So if you'd like to come to my work and see how that works sometime, I would encourage you to come by. We had this guy call. He needed rent money. And my typical go-to is like, no, we don't offer financial assistance. Stop asking us for money. I've heard this story before. I hear it at the end of every single month when people call me asking for money. But this one was different. He called and he was asking because he had been in the hospital. He had gotten out of prison. He had his rent paid by a program.
Do you know what? As you're talking about this, I was just thinking about that guy downstairs before we came in. He was asking me to buy him a Coke. I should have totally bought him a Coke.
You still can.
I don't know. Anyway, sorry.
You still can.
Yeah.
Did you guys want another round?
Yeah, I could do one more, I guess.
The same thing?
Yeah.
Do you have elephants on parade? We do. I will have that. Cool. Thank you. So...
Should I go down there and get it?
Yeah, if you want to, I can...
Okay, let's pause. Or unless you want to talk.
I can talk. I was going to explain the situation.
I kind of want to know, though. Can you fill me when we get back?
Yeah. So this guy, he had just gotten out of jail. He'd been out for about 4 months. He had been sober for 3 months. He got housing through a program, so they paid for his first couple months of rent. he got an apartment. And he told me, I got out of jail. I'm really trying to do the right thing here. After I got out and I had my apartment for a little bit, I got very sick and he had pneumonia. And he was hospitalized for 2 months. So in the 2 months that he was supposed to be finding work and getting himself on his feet, he got really sick and he was in the hospital. And I get that. He was so sick that when he was released, they had a tube in his body coming out so that he could kind of, I'm not a medical person. I don't know the medical terms, but so that he could, I guess it's to drain all the stuff from the pneumonia out of his lungs or wherever. So he was literally stuck at home in this apartment. He had no way of paying rent. He doesn't have family here or anything like that. And the really sad part was that he said, another charity in town gave me a couch and it's the only piece of furniture I have and it has bed bugs. And he said, I feel so disgusting. I can't even get up off this couch or move it or get it out of here to take care of it. And he said, and I can't even go anywhere to get myself a food box. I'm running out of food and I can't even move to the point where I can go to the store. His neighbor had gone and gotten his prescriptions for him. Like he asked his neighbor and he paid them, I think, a little bit of gas money for what he could. But, it just broke my heart because this is somebody who really was genuinely hurting. I thought about the lepers in the Bible and how, lepers were social outcasts. They were the people that nobody wanted to touch, nobody wanted to be near. If you touched a leper, then you were automatically unclean. And if you think about that in those terms today, it's kind of the same thing. People are like, well, I don't want to go into a house that has bed bugs. I don't want to deal with somebody who's an ex-criminal. I don't want to help this person. They don't deserve it. They're gross. This must be because of something they did. They can't pay their rent because they're lazy, whatever the excuse is. And mind you, I've heard a lot of excuses about why people can't pay their rent in my line of work. I'm an ex-case manager. So I've heard it all. But this was different. I could genuinely tell this person was hurting, and he cried on the phone with me. It was like crying, like the kind of crying that gets pulled out of your soul that you can hear. Like you can hear the pain in that cry. It wasn't just a pity or a sympathy cry. It was a genuinely painful cry, like somebody who was broken and fragile and was, I could tell he was embarrassed to be asking for this. So I reached out to somebody to see if we could help him out, and it was a lot of legwork, and it's not something that I normally would do, just because, typically for the population that we work with, if you do it once, it happens all the time, and they want to ask you for money all the time. But this is different, and I just feel like it's things like that where it's like you see hurting, you see pain, you see these people in distress, and it's like you have an opportunity to maybe not fix it, but to soften the blow. And I think that might be part of what we're called to do. I'm good in the shade. I don't want to burn. But it's interesting because I get a little jaded. I see mega churches, I see pastors with lots of money, and I see people hurting next door to me. I went to go visit this person at their home, and there were people shooting heroin on the sidewalk in broad daylight. It was not a good neighborhood. And it just broke my heart. And so I think that I'm trying to remember where I was going with that because it's a really intense story, but it was just a lot, it was a lot to handle. And I don't know, I feel like we can do better, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like we can do better and we have to do better.
It doesn't come naturally.
No, it doesn't, because you want to say no. It's easy to say no. It's easy to say that sucks, but it's not my problem. That sucks, but I can't solve your problem for you. You probably did something to get yourself in that situation. Not my problem. It's so easy to say that. And I think a lot of people do.
Yeah. Compassion doesn't come naturally. Not at all.
Well, even if we are just a little bit uncomfortable, we walk away.
Yeah.
If we are put out of our comfort zone, we walk away, and we are like
I
nope.
just did with a guy who just wanted a Coke. He had 2 pieces of pizza, and he's like, hey, can I have some money for a Coke? I was like, no, man, sorry, I don't have any cash. He's like, can you buy me a Coke just right from here, from this convenience store? And I'm like, no, man, I'm sorry. Like, I didn't have any excuse. Like, I had card. I didn't have cash, but I had my card.
But it was easier for you to just say no.
Right.
When you're confronted with something that makes you uncomfortable, it's easier
right.
to say no.
And that was something little. Like, what if somebody needed a place to stay, or, man, I was just.
But can you imagine, like, being in that situation to where you are already feeling less than human and you're feeling like you're not worth anything, and then you have to ask and beg somebody to help you with something simple.
Right. Yeah. I think that there are
hard.
stronger people on Earth. A couple days ago, we went to Civic Plaza here in downtown Albuquerque. They were showing a movie, and there was a band playing, and they had beer and stuff. And there are a lot of homeless people in the Civic Plaza. And so they were sitting there, and, it's free to get in. So they were sitting on the tables, and they were watching the music, and they were jamming out, hearing some music, and they were just enjoying themselves. And as I was getting a beer, I saw some lady come up to one of the homeless guys and, started dancing with him.
That was incredible. I love that.
And you could just, see his face. He was, so happy.
Yeah, it totally lit up. It made his year. And it was crazy because they were both there for the same reason. They were there to enjoy the music and just enjoy having a nice, little entertaining evening. And she just came up and she started dancing with him. And she made him feel like he was human again. And that was incredible to watch. Actually, I saw the same thing, and it was pretty awesome. But it's people like that are brave, that do simple things that may not seem like a lot, that matter a whole lot,
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So...
How was the game last night?
Heavy topics to the Lobos.
I'm trying to cut it up for you a little bit. I'm trying to,
One of these episodes, we're just going to start bawling in each other's arms.
Yeah, it'd be a little weird if we were going to record that.
Yeah.
What's really funny is that the window right above us is somebody's apartment patio, and they can probably hear everything we're saying.
That's the stairwell, isn't it?
I'm not so sure. There's curtains, so no.
Interesting. So Lobos.
I didn't go to the game. I went to Ross.
Yeah.
With my daughter, which was awesome. We had girl time.
Yeah. My one of my best buddies, John, was there with his son, and we both went to UNM. So we're here for this game. It's New Mexico State. It's
Civil War.
It's a rivalry as
it's a Civil War game.
One they call it, I guess whatever, Civil War, yeah. But it's not like you're Michigan, Ohio State, or anything like that. But or Texas and Oklahoma, whatever. But it's a rivalry. It's our little state rivalry that nobody knows about outside of New Mexico, but here it's a big deal. It's a big deal.
And just to be clear, Lorenzo's brother went to New Mexico State, so there's some.
Yeah, so my brother came to the game, and he was super obnoxious. I think he was kind of pissing off my dad a little bit.
That's kind of funny.
But
your dad went to NMSU too for a little bit.
He did. Yeah, you might. But my dad's more of a Lobo.
Oh,
for sure.
All right.
So, I don't know. It was a good game. There was a lot of people there. Lobos didn't really come in. It was kind of a terrible game for them. But they ended up coming back in the fourth quarter, and they only lost by 2. So they could have won, which would have been pretty awesome if they did. But they gave the Aggies a little scare at the end. That was fun. It was a fun time with the kids and the family, and
Juliet and I had fun too.
Yeah. Riley had a blast.
Yeah.
And it was kind of funny too, because on our way home, Riley and Luke both fell asleep. And I'm so happy that Riley is turning out to be one of these kids. He fell asleep, and when I picked him up out of his car seat and I carried him, he did not wake up.
No, he's a brick.
He just kind of woke up for a second, kind of disheveled, but then he went back, he put his head back on my shoulder, fell completely asleep. Luke, on the other hand, he could be so tired, super tired, and if I kind of just rustle him a little bit, he will wake up. He will not let me carry him at all from the car. And then it'll take an hour to get him to go back to sleep.
Juliet is a light sleeper too.
Yeah.
She's probably the lightest, I think, out of all of them. But yeah, we Luke was tired though, because when you got home and I picked him up, I took him to his room and I laid him down and I said, "Did you want to put on PJs, buddy?" And he's like, "No, just like this." He fell asleep.
Luke fell asleep?
Right away.
Yeah, he was tired.
I was afraid to move because I thought for sure he wasn't actually asleep, but then he started snoring and I was like, whoa, that was fast.
Nice.
So yeah, I don't know. It's It's been interesting. I watched a documentary yesterday.
About what?
While you were gone, about Princess Diana, because it's been 20 years.
Oh yeah,
after
you were
her
telling me
death.
about that.
And they interviewed Prince Harry and Prince William, which I thought was interesting because I had never really seen an interview with them about their mom.
It's also been 20 years since Everlong from Foo Fighters has been released.
Not quite the same thing, but okay.
I think so. That song is epic.
Yeah, that's true.
And for me, more epic than Princess Diana. I could care less about the royal family, to be honest.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I don't know what the fascination is.
Yeah, I don't know.
They don't even have like any ruling power.
I don't know. I'm not sure what the fascination is.
They have influence, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's just the culture that's within that little circle is pretty interesting, and the history and all that. But
Yeah.
it's a beautiful day.
Yeah, it kind of
It's
is.
so nice. I'm ready for fall. I'm ready for winter. I'm ready for cold weather. Like, I want cold weather. But then, I don't know, afternoons like this, I'm like, well, we could go like another couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But I think we're supposed to get a cold front this week.
Did it get cold in Portland?
Yeah.
Ever?
Oh, yeah.
Like cold?
Yeah. Not like
Freezing?
bitter cold, but yeah, we had frost and stuff. And yeah.
Does it get cold in New Mexico compared to Portland?
I guess. I haven't really been back there when it's been cold long enough to compare. But yeah, I mean, different kind of cold, but yeah.
Yeah.
So, you gonna go work at a coffee shop and make Satan's lattes now?
Am I going to go work there?
Yeah.
I've worked there before. I was a Starbucks barista.
So was I.
Barista.
Barista. Me too. Crazy. That's not how we met, though. But we both did our time at Starbucks.
Yeah, we met right down the street from this spot where we are right now.
That's weird, yeah.
At a little bar called Anodyne.
Yep.
And that was 10 years ago.
Yeah, it was. Wow. That's crazy to think about.
Yeah.
Now we have
Back
3
then,
kids.
Princess Diana was only dead for 10 years. And Everlong had only been released 10 years before.
Okay.
Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
Think about math.
I don't want to think about math ever in my life.
Yeah?
Ever.
Yeah.
But yeah. Oh, man. I feel like I don't know what to do with myself. It's weird when I don't have kids around me. I have a really hard time actually, like, deciding what to do with my time. Because it's like the world is my oyster. There's so many things I could do right now.
We could drive to Denver and back.
I know. They wouldn't even know.
They would know, actually.
We'd have to tell somebody, probably.
Denver's like 5 hours.
I know.
5 hours?
6.
6 hours?
Yeah, I think... Isn't there a concert coming up that we were talking about?
Yeah. Next week, King's Kaleidoscope is playing here in town with... I was going to say Atmosphere, but it's not Atmosphere.
That would be a weird combination.
Who's it?
Right.
Propaganda.
Oh, yeah. Propaganda's
Yeah.
the deal, for sure. Love him.
Yeah. So, if you don't know who King's Kaleidoscope is, they were once a Mars Hill band, back when Mark Driscoll was closer to Jesus.
Whoa. Don't be judgmental.
Before he used people's
Hey.
sheep brains to write a book.
Hey.
What? I'm sorry.
You don't know his heart.
I know.
You don't know where he's at. So.
I know. I'm just kidding around. We went to Mars Hill for a little bit.
Yeah, so you can mock us if you want.
Yeah. Make fun of us. We
like it.
didn't know any better.
We like it.
Mars Hill was a great community. There was a lot of wonderful people that we met.
We met some really great people there, so I'm not
So
complaining.
disregard my comments because sometimes I just say dumb things.
He's in jerk mode.
Yeah, sometimes I'm in jerk mode, I guess. But and I can talk about people I don't know pretty easily. Because I don't know Mark Driscoll. I really don't.
Watch him up the stairs right now and be like,
Yeah, he's like,
"Lorenzo,
hey, I'm Mark Driscoll. Can you...
I'm a really nice guy." And you're like, crap.
Dang it. Yeah.
I knew it was going to happen this way. He's like, can I buy a beer? And you're like, no.
Shoot.
Oh.
Next thing we know, like mega church pastors from Albuquerque are going to come up here and be totally legit. And I'm gonna
Yeah, Skip Heights is going to buy a keg and be like, we're having Calvary on the roof. And I'm going to be like,
Calvary on the roof? What? Yeah, we're baptizing you in marble beer. We're having a beer keg baptismal. You didn't hear about it?
Oh my God.
Buy my new book.
Buy my new book at our bookstore, right next to our Jesus Lattes.
Oh dear. So what was I talking about? What was I talking about? Texting Tammy?
I don't know. I kind of checked out when I said you were in shark mode.
So, man.
Sorry. I don't know. I don't know. I'm looking across the street and there's this like turret thing. It's a Catholic church.
It's called a steeple.
But that doesn't look like a steeple to me. What is that thing on top?
It's a cross.
That is not a cross.
If you look at it from the other side, it's a cross.
But what is the circular thing?
That's La Luz del Mundo.
You're making that up. You are absolutely making that up.
It looks like, I don't know what it is, but anyway.
So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a picture of that. We'll post it, and somebody please tell me what this is, because I don't know what this is, and it's going to drive me crazy.
Catholic symbolism.
Okay, it's going to be on our Instagram, so please, whenever you get a minute, check it out. I don't know what it is. It's right after our post it's Michael Sarah Sunday, because it is.
Sarah Sunday.
Happy Sarah Sunday to you.
Yeah. I really want to know what I was talking about.
Sorry.
I just don't know. I was talking about Mark Driscoll and, oh dear, I don't know. So, Lindsay, what was I talking about?
You were talking about Mark Driscoll, and you were talking about how we met some really nice people at Mars Hill.
Yeah, and going to Anodyne.
We met, and you were talking about math.
10 years ago.
That's about when I checked out.
10 years
I was
ago.
like, nah, math, I'm out. See you.
Yeah.
You know? That's sexy.
Yeah.
We are
Smoker's
such
cough.
losers.
Why are we losers?
But you don't smoke. You shouldn't have a smoker's cough if you, like, don't smoke. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know either. Wow, we really lost it on this one. Huh?
We did, because you're on your phone doing stuff on your phone.
I had to post that picture so that I could find out what the heck that is, because it's really bugging me. I've been staring at it for an hour and I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And I've been inside that church and that doesn't give me any indicator. Like,
I wonder if you can go to the top of that thing.
that's what I was wondering too.
You probably can.
Might be a bell.
Looks like it has windows on the top.
Mm-hmm. It just looks like a astronomy type symbol.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah, it's very strange, but.
All right. Well.
What an afternoon.
Yeah. What an afternoon. Yeah, guys. So if you are in Florida, be safe. I hope you make it out. Seriously. And
drop us a line. Let us know you're okay.
Yeah, guys. I mean, I said our email address, but honestly, I'm not sure if that's correct. So I know we're terrible people. But our Twitter is at parentingvspod, and our Instagram is at parenting versus podcast. Yeah. So find us there. We are going to enjoy the rest of our beers here at Dual Brewing. Yep, there it is. And we'll sign off. Do you want any last words?
Yeah, no, I got nothing.
Okay, cool.
All right, peace out.
Well, you guys have a good night. Talk to you in the next one.